Hello everybody, welcome to the table. Today we are taking a look at one of the newer variants of the QSP Penguin. This version of the Penguin is a titanium frame lock, and it is made special because of the titanium frag pattern we have here on the scales. I picked up this knife from C. Risner Cutlery at traditionalpocketknives.com, although I'm sure other retailers will probably have it in stock eventually as well if they don't already. Now, I'm of the opinion that the Penguin is the knife that really put QSP on the map in the knife world, so to speak. You know, my experience with this model dates back to May of 2020 when I picked up the original variant of the Penguin that was offered through Mass Drop. The Penguin here really opened the eyes of the knife community and defined what you could get in a budget knife. And since then, the Penguin has really been the darling of the knife world, and QSP is taking full advantage by releasing new versions of the knife periodically with different blade steels and differing handle materials. So taking a look at this new version of the Penguin in titanium, we will make some comparisons to the original model and see what's changed design-wise in the past few years. You know, one of the biggest and most obvious changes is going to be the switch from being a steel liner lock knife to now being offered as a titanium frame lock. So the lack of a steel frame actually drops the weight of the knife from around 3.2 ounces down to the 3-ounce mark. And the profile of the knife is now a bit slimmer as well. So even the blade stock slimmed down, so about 3 millimeters on the original to about 2.8 millimeters in thickness on this newer model. So it is noticeable when you hold the knives side by side in person. The action of this titanium Penguin here now runs on bearings, and so the action is just as smooth as I expected it to be. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not sure the switch from copper washers on the original to the bearings was really completely necessary. The action of the original Penguin on copper washers is just as smooth, if not smoother, than this titanium frame lock version of the knife. So of course what makes this knife special is that this particular version has the blue anodized frag pattern on the scales. You know, the color and the texture are what drove me to buy this variant of the Penguin. So the frag pattern makes the handle very grippy and it feels really nice in hand. So the pivot screw here on the show side of the knife has a decorative design which looks really nice and shiny compared to the plain pivot on the original knife. So it has an open flow-through design, and like any modern titanium frame lock, we have a steel insert on the lock bar to contain wear and tear on the titanium frame. And we do retain the same oversized lanyard hole that's featured on the liner lock Penguin, although now we can see one of the substantial changes from the original design. So whereas the OG Penguin here, it featured a deep carry pocket clip that was reversible for left or right hand side carry, our titanium counterpart here, they swapped that out for a more stylish, sculpted titanium pocket clip that now only carries tip-up right-hand side. So there's a definite trade-off there. We are losing some of that utility for the higher-end look and materials. And to me, that's fine, but really, that will have to be an individual choice you as the buyer need to make. And the blade on this version of the Penguin has a black stonewash finish. And I saw other versions of the frag pattern knife here with both satin and regular stonewashed blades. In my case though, I made this color choice because it was paired up with the blue anodized frame. And the blade steel itself also is going to see an upgrade. Our standard Penguin has long been offered in D2 steel, and this new version of the blade is in 154 cm. And the blade itself on this knife has relatively few markings. Here on the show side, we can take a look. We have only a small QSP logo on the front. But when we look at the reverse side of the blade, all we see on this side is a small marking indicating that this is 154 cm blade steel. The spine of the blade has jimping on it, and it is decently sharp and grippy, so no complaints there. I'm very impressed with that part. And when the blade is open just like this, as expected, there is no play, no wiggle, lockup is super solid, and I would expect no less. So the lock bar rests fully on the blade. It looks very secure, no issues with lockup on this knife. And the centering of the knife in the handle is excellent, so no issues there as well. But unfortunately, not everything on this new Penguin is great. So I will say right now, this flaw on mine, most people would really have a legitimate reason to return this knife because of this. And it's probably just an issue with my example here. But when you spend over $100 on a knife, issues like this should not be occurring. So on my knife here, the thumb studs are not secured to the blade. One of the first things I noticed out of the box with this knife is that the thumb studs, they started to spin freely like they were not properly attached at the factory. So sure enough, I just lightly started to turn one of the thumb studs, and they are very happy to completely unscrew and remove themselves from the blade. So this could be a safety issue if your thumb studs, they start to come loose in your pocket, or God forbid, they even fall off and get lost while you're using the knife. I honestly think a flaw like this would warrant returning the knife for either, an exchange or a refund. But, since this is me, I'm just going to put a dab of Loctite on the threads of the screw here. And I think that will probably resolve the issue. But still, for a company that started to shake up the budget knife world, this was a disappointing part of an otherwise, very solid, very recommendable knife. My original D2 steel Penguin did not have this issue at all. And the Penguin itself, as a design, it's very recommendable at $30. At $100 here, the main upgrade we're looking at is going to be this titanium frame lock, this Frag pattern, and you need to ask yourself if it's worth it to you. I'm kind of a nut, so for me it was, but we're giving up some nice features that are on the original budget knife, so in the end, it may be kind of a wash. And before we go any further, I think the box the knife arrived in is actually kind of worth mentioning. It looks plain enough, but this cardboard here is super thick, super solid feeling. And there's a little pull tab on one side that opens the box, and we can see a nice fitted area for the knife, along with some stickers it came with. But what I really like is this little card that came with the knife with the specs all pictured on it. It's a nice quality little add-on. So overall, I like the presentation we get here. I feel it's really well done. I don't remember what the original knife came in, but this is a good upgrade, so impressed there. So really at the end here, I want to recommend this version of the Penguin, but I think QSP is kind of competing with themselves here. This version of the Penguin is definitely a looker, but once you're in the triple digits price-wise, there start to be so many more compelling knife designs and knife options out there waiting for you. So that's just my thoughts on the knife. But let me know what you all think in the comments. I hope you all have a knife day, everyone, and I'll see you next time. So see you later. Bye.